Okay, dear students, so today what I'm going to take up is how we can write a Python program. So we are going to write a Python program to find the factors of a number uh, given as input by the user. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to straight away write down the program in Python. That's going to be kind of not clear to you that what's the approach. How do you think how you can create such programs? So let us go step by step in order to see how we can create a program very easily. Programming is not difficult, it's very easy. All right. So let us say that I want to know what the factors of 12 are. I want to write a program in order to find out the factors of 12, right? So let us see how we would have probably found out the factors of 12 mathematically, right? So what are the factors of 12? Factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. How do I know that 1 is a factor, 2 is a factor, 3 is a factor? I know why, because when I divide 12 by 1, I get the remainder as 0. Therefore, I understand that 1 is a factor of 12. That means a number that completely divides 12 is a factor of the number 12. So similarly, when I divide 12 by, say, for example, 6, I get the remainder as 0. And this is going to be a common feature between all of these numbers that are written here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Okay, so this is how I'm going to identify that 12 has all of these as factors. Okay, so that means if I write it in simple English language, then I could probably write it that if the number is completely divisible completely divisible by another number by another number, then that divisor is the factor. Correct, if I'm not wrong? So what is this number? This number right now is R12. And what is this number? The number that with which I am dividing, right? So in our first case, it was 1. In the second case, it was 6 with which I divided, right? Now, in order to find out all the numbers, right, those that are factors, I would continuously keep on dividing these numbers by 1, then with 2, then with 3, then with 4, then with 5, then with 6, then with 7, until unless I reach the number 12. Okay, now I have already written this as in a simple English language. Now let us see what we can do in order to write it in the form of a language, or in the form of a little refined way, so that we can convert it in the terms of Python programming language. Okay, so there is a condition that has to be checked, right? So if my number, okay, now let me assume that my number is n now. Okay, now to check the completely divisible, that means I have to use the modulus operator. That means if my number is completely divisible by, first let us see if it is divisible by 1 or not. Okay, so if this number is completely divisible by 1, then I have to print that it is a factor. I have to print that this is the factor. All right, else it is not a factor, right? But the fact is that I will continuously keep on writing. I will continuously not going to keep on printing out that it's not a factor, it's not a factor, it's not a factor. It does not make much sense. So the else in this particular case is going to be optional. All right, now the fact is that this one in the next case is going to be 2, in that third case is going to be 3, and so until unless it reaches 12. Therefore, what I can do is I can replace this 1 by the I, and I can put it in a particular range which is from 1 to the number itself. So I can loop it. So for I in range, 1 to n plus 1. Now, why am I doing this n plus 1? Is because of the fact that I have to also divide it by 12, because 12 is also the factor of itself, right? So as we know that in Python, the upper limit is exclusive, and therefore it would have taken only until 11. Therefore, I need n plus 1. All right. So this is how this program is kind of going to look like. Logically, this is going to look like. Now, if I write a proper programming Python program in this particular case, so let us now write it. Okay. So let me clear this particular area so that I can write down the proper Python program. Okay, now let me write down the proper Python program. Okay, so first I will have to take the input of the number n. So the number n is equal to int the typecasting input, and then enter number, right? Now for the loop control variable I in range 1 to n plus 1 indentation. So here I'm going to check if the value n is completely divisible by I or not. If it is true, then in that case I am going to print the value I itself, and that's all. Okay, so let us try run this particular program and see how it works out. All right, so let's check for a smaller number. Say for example, for the value n is equal to 6. All right, so what is my first value of I? So my first value of I is 1, which is in the range, of course. So n modulus I is equal to 6. Yes, it is true. So my factor that is going to be printed is 1. Then the next iteration, ali of I will be equal to 2. 6 will be completely divisible by 2 here. So yes, my 2 will be printed as factor. Then my next iteration will be 3. So 6 will again be completely divisible by 3. So now 3 will be printed. Now when the value of 4, what's going to happen? 6 is not completely divisible by 4, and therefore 4 will not be printed. 5, next iteration, of course. So 6, yeah, 6 completely divisible by 5, false. Therefore 5 will not be printed. And then finally the value 6. So 6 will be completely divisible by 6, and therefore the factor 6 will be printed. Okay, so this is how the factors of a number given as input can be printed. Okay, now let us see. And this is how we had written. Theoretically, we have written it down. We have checked the trace table as well. Now let us actually write down the program and see whether it is actually going to work or not. Okay, so let me, okay, it was already written. So let me just write it down for you. So n is equal to int input enter the number. All right, for I in range from 1 to n plus 1. If this is the case, then I will check if n modulus I equal to 0, then print the value of I. All right, so I have saved it, I have executed it. Now it says enter the number, say 12, 1 2 3 4 6 and 12. Let's run this program once again and see. Enter the number, say 17. It should give me only 1 and 17. Let's run this program once again and check. Say for 6, for which we had done a dry run, so 1 2 3 and 6. Okay, so this is how we can write a program. So if you kind of write down your program, you break it down like this, it will be very, very simple to think for the logic how you can uh, build a Python program. I hope this video will help you. Good luck. Happy learning.